listening to the Everyone But Us podcast, straight from the heart of London.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Everyone But Us podcast, episode number 24. My name's Waymar. I'm accompanied by the yin and yang of UK hardcore. I'm going to start with the yang. What's up, Lewis?
What's happening, everyone? I'm Lewis Yang, aka Black. I'm good.
Good to hear. And then we've got the yin. Steve, how you doing, mate?
I'm good. I'm starting to I've got a week and a half off work now. New album's coming out Friday, so I'm in a good place.
Okay, cool. So anyway, man, on this episode we're going to be talking about and I. We've got a brand new.
Who?
I was thinking, who are you talking about?
This episode, we are doing what we always do because it is the first sign of madness. We are talking to ourselves. Can I introduce you to Tom, McBoo and Louis, who are our fellow bandmates in Ironed Out.
Hey, awooga.
So, Ironed Out, how would you describe Ironed Out's sound?
Urban.
Sounds like Stuck Mojo, Body Count.
Everything everyone ever says.
Living Colour, a little bit.
God forbid.
God forbid. Dub War, sounds like Dub War a little bit.
Skin dreads. Bad brains.
This ain't going to work, is it? This ain't going to work.
Rage Against the Machine.
So, Dave, like Ironed Out is the brainchild of yourself.
Yeah.
How did it all come about?
I wanted to do something like this since fucking 04 maybe, but it took till 2013 to actually find anyone who would be on board, because every time I brought it up to anyone, they was like, "Nah, man, that's gonna fucking sound shit."
Well, how would you selling it as a, I hate this term, but as a rap hardcore metal band? How was you selling it to the people you was trying to recruit?
I wanted to get that real sort of I mean, it was even really before grime was sort of big as grime, because I wanted to mix like fucking Soul Solid Crew and fucking old garage bands that was going hard like that before the 140 beats a minute thing turned into grime, and get that aggro on a hardcore tune, you know, or you know, not necessarily on beatdown, but you know, something aggressive guitar music. So I was approaching everyone, and like no one was doing it, man. No one was on it for years, brother. It's just ridiculous. It was just one night we was at Mansions when I was living there, and Pedro was playing all these tunes, and I think he had E-Town on, and I turned around and I was like, do you know how long I've wanted to fucking do a London sort of like answer to this, where, you know, we've got our styles of hip hop and whatever, over guitar music that we do our way. And then P's like, why don't you do it then? And I was like, yeah, well, I want to spit bars on it though. Like, I don't want to like play instruments. I play instruments for everything. And I just said to Gino, you in? And he was hammered. He'd probably done it on that. He's like, yeah, I'll do it, bruv.
So let's take it back a bit. So, Lewis, do you remember that conversation, and what was your thoughts on it?
I do remember being asked to be part of it, because at the time I was improving and I just got in with Crippler, because obviously Vince had departed and they wanted to keep the band going. So I jumped in with Titch on vocals with him. Yeah, I just got with it, and then we went and had our first practice. Was it at Enterprise?
Yeah, Enterprise.
Yeah, then we had our first practice at Enterprise, but Mabu had all the music and that ready and everything. It sounded good. So it sounded weird to me because his old recording thing, obviously we can speak about that in a bit, but they sounded like 16-bit Mega Drive games.
Well, his demos
like
you're talking about, yeah?
The demos, yeah.
The
demos. When I was listening to it, I was thinking like, this would sound sick over a fucking Mega Drive game, like all these like tunes, like because the way the music was programmed or whatever software he was using at the time, that was how it sounded and came out. So it sounded a bit weird, but then obviously once we practiced it and was in the studio or in the practice room, it was like, oh damn, these tunes are actually pretty hard. So yeah.
For me, I remember Dave approaching me and saying like, would you want to start another band? So at the time, I'm thinking he wants me to play guitar or he's looking for someone to sing. Because like most people, I've always wanted to front a band as well. But he's like, I think he goes, no, we're looking for a bass player. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, because for me, I started on the bass. And so when he told me he's going to spit over it, I was like, you know what? Like, I would love to do something like that. Because with Knuckle Dust or with hardcore in general, I always find it like, there's things that you can't do in hardcore that I wanted to express myself on my instrument. And when he told me what he wanted to do with Ironed Out, I like the idea of being able to play melodies and just do some different shit. You know what I mean? The background I come from was like, I started out playing in a soul band and playing funk. So it just sounded right up my street. And when I heard the songs, I was like, yeah, this is fucking dope, man.
So the first lineup was... Who was it? The very first lineup when you had that first rehearsal? Yeah,
so we had Mark Fitz, we had George on drums, who also played in BDO. Mark played in Crippler LBU. Myself
and Flawless Victory as well.
And then you had Dave and Lewis on the mic. And I remember that first rehearsal we came together, and it was pretty terrible. Do you remember that? Like in terms of we didn't really know, we couldn't.
It was whack until the last song. And then I remember, because I'd never done bars like that, like outside of my bedroom. Like whenever I've been practicing, it's always been like, the focus has always been, right, we've got a show coming up. So it's like either bun them out or Caliber to get them tunes ready. So when we done that first practice, I remember the whole way through thinking, yeah, this ain't going to work. And then, do you know what? Just go downstairs and get a beer. So I went downstairs, got one of them £2 cans of Kronenberg from Enterprise, backed it. Me and Gino worked on the bars in the corridor while used man's run through the music.
Yeah.
Come back in, and I just thought, do you know what? Fuck it. Like, sing it, just, say it from your chest. And then I done that, and I remember when you turned around to me and you was like, that's the way you need to fucking sing. That's the way you need to sing.
Oh, did I? I can't remember.
Right, okay, yeah. I need to this, so that's why I get mangled every time we play.
What an arsehole I am, eh? What an arsehole. I want to jump forward a bit because shortly after we basically established the band, David already written some songs, and we went to record them at what was that studio in Milton Keynes?
Old School.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we went to record them. I think we had like 3 days, and I don't know about you guys, but when we went into that studio, I still didn't exactly know what Ironed Out was. I knew what we wanted to be, but I felt like we were still kind of finding ourselves, if that makes sense. And
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, like I'll be trying different bass lines, and I remember a Pacific song when we was doing a song that's very popular now for us, which is ACAB. And I think I remember Steve just going, oh, let me just try it. Am I right in saying this? Correct me if I'm wrong. Steve goes, let me just try some clean bits over it.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? And then something like that. So the body of the song was already there that Boo wrote, but I think you wanted to add some clean bits on it. And
I was kind of surprised that everyone agreed, to be honest, because normally in most bands I've ever been in, people go, fuck off. No, we ain't putting clean bits in.
Yeah, but we was kind of adamant that we wanted the band to just try whatever we wanted to try. Whether it be singing, whether it be melodies, we didn't want to have no like limitations to what we could, do you know what I mean? And I remember you trying that in the studio and all of us being like, oh shit, that sounds pretty good.
I think I just come in with fresh ears, didn't I? Because I'd only joined the band 3 weeks before we did that EP.
Yeah, it was a bit, I mean, I'll be honest, I listened to that EP now and I think it was good for the time.
Yeah.
It's a demo. I look at that as a demo, that EP.
Yeah.
What would you guys say?
Well, obviously, it was billed and released as an EP, but for me, it was a demo, definitely. It just happened to be that's what came out. And a lot of people digged it, though. Like, people who weren't,
definitely.
Even people who weren't even particularly into that particular sort of sound, they weren't digging it. But
do you know what? You've hit a good upon a good topic or question I wanted to ask you guys. Like, I think when you tell people, oh, what is Ironed Out, and you say it's rap metal or MCing with metal or hardcore, whatever it is, especially people in hardcore, let's be honest, they're going to kind of turn their nose up a little bit.
Of course,
yeah, and I kind of understand it. I kind of understand it. I think personally, it's a very difficult thing to pull off. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
When you say you're going to do like a hardcore band, but it's influenced by X, Y, and Z, the percentage of it coming out cheesy is quite high.
It's difficult to pigeonhole, and like I was writing an email today to someone who I had to describe the band, and I didn't want to like give across any genres, so I just said it's a band full of people that went to hardcore shows but have been influenced by the sounds of their surroundings and, you know, growing up in London as well. So influenced by those different sounds. I couldn't actually say it was like, you know.
Should have said it was urban.
Yeah, I feel like, because I remember the first ever show we played, and I remember...
Was it the 12 bar?
Bruv, it was the 2nd of November 2014. That was our
Yeah,
Oh,
we
really?
did.
Wow.
We did play. Yeah, we did play.
And then the second show was the new 12 bar, wasn't it?
The reason why I remember that is because our first 2 shows was the new 12 bar, then the second 12 bar, and both times there was like technical issues, something wrong with the mic,
Yeah, we had
something
some...
fucked up with the
Yeah,
guitar.
it was a
We had
nightmare.
I remember that first gig that I played in at the new 12 bar on Holloway Road, because
with Fury of 5 and that.
yeah, but I'd only been in the band. I think that was even before we recorded the EP, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I'd been in the band like a week and a half, 2 weeks at this point, or something like that. And I remember just like during that show, like I still couldn't remember how to play all the songs all the way through. So I was like looking at Dave, and it's the right riff.
I remember some of our first shows we were playing, and people would just be like looking at us like confused, like what the fuck, like what is this? Because it was so left field from what everyone else was doing. And I never forget this quote from Joe, Wisdom in Chains. I can't remember which podcast it was, but he was talking about Wisdom in Chains. And he was saying when they first started, people used to just like look at them. And that's because when most people start a hardcore band, they usually go towards beatdown. And I understand, because with beatdown, you straight off the bat, you can get a reaction from the pit. So people tend to go for that style of music. And I remember Joe saying, like, when he started Wisdom in Chains, people used to just look at him because they're very much more on the old school side. So you got all these heavy beatdown bands, and then they'll come on and people would be like, all right, what do I do? But he said the more they kept playing, the more they found their crowd, and the more like
winning people over.
Winning
as
people
well.
over, yeah.
Over to it
And
before.
I've definitely found that with Ironed Out, like the more we play, the more people are starting to understand who we are as a band. Do you know what I mean? And
I think we always said that at the start as well. Like I remember saying, like, let's just do our thing, and then if people like it, they'll come along.
I had people who I thought would never were into that sort of type of music. Like Barnett Mark was one of them. He was like, I really love your band. Like, not that I thought he was taking the piss or anything, like, because he sincerely meant it in that. Like, but you know, Barney, what he's into? He's into like punk rock and stuff like that. So, and Oi and shit. So I would think to myself, why would he be into Ironed Out? Like, but obviously he hears something a little bit different, and we're doing something which is completely different to what other people are doing.
Same with Rob, who used to sing for TBAC, and I hadn't seen him for fucking years. And then suddenly we're playing, well, I think it was Kingston, and he was just there. And I remember being like, fuck, man, Rob. I was like, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, I like your band. I was like, fuck off, man, really?
do you think, like, one of the most difficult things that I found is that people judge you and think, oh, look at these guys, they think they're tough guys.
In some towns you go to, definitely. But then I think Europe has definitely got, because they don't understand regional accents the way the UK does. When you go out there, they're definitely more, I don't know, hospitable, in the sense they just want to come in and jam with you, drink a beer with you, and just chat. But yeah, definitely, I've definitely noticed that in the UK, not so much in Europe.
Yeah, it's difficult for people, for most people who are in the different various countries in Europe, like English isn't their first language. Obviously, whatever country they're from, that's their first language. It's just one of them ones. Like, but in terms of people, I never ever felt like people thought that we were trying to be like
Not so much people, not people we know or know what we're about, but people that don't know us.
The YouTube comments or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I never worried about YouTube comments ever.
Yeah, I just think, for me, when people leave those sort of comments, it's like half of it's trolling, and the other half of it is like they see a multicultural band, and and instantly, obviously, because there's a little bit of spit on it, and they see a white guy who's rapping or spitting bars, whatever you want to call it, they automatically think, oh, these guys want to be hip hop gang or crew or some shit like that. And that's just basically just one of them ones, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, if that's what people want to think, if that's what people want to allude to, then that's up to them, you know what I'm saying? But obviously, we know who we are as a band, we know who we are as people as well. So we're just doing it for the music. We're not doing it for any other motive of trying to be something that we're not. And that's just it. We just rap about what we've seen and what we've done and what we know, etc. Like, and that's it.
That's it, man. So let's jump forward a bit. I mean, we then dropped In These Ends, which was our second EP, which I felt like was a step up production wise, and I feel like we had some really good songs in that EP. Mark, our guitarist, and George recorded on that, but then shortly after that, both of them decided to leave.
So Mark went first, didn't he?
Yeah, Mark went first. Shout out to Mark.
Massive shout out to Mark. The Iron That logo that you see, that is Mark. He produced that. He come up with the idea for that. The In These Ends artwork where you see the London Underground station, that was a friend of his who come up with that, who done the photograph. So he pretty much put that the artwork for that together, and that, like, Mark is a dope artist, man, a very understated person as well, and a really good dude. So,
and just to say what a G he is, after he left the band, we was basically recording a video for one of the songs In These Ends, and there was a location near Boreham Wood, an old abandoned building, and he went there the day before, and if you watch the video, this whole wall, and this wall goes up 10, 15 high. Yeah. 20 meters maybe. It's a big ass wall. He painted this big graph piece of Iron Out, and he had a character of Dave and Lewis. So check out the video, and you can see that he put that together, man. And so anyway, he left, man, because he was going to Japan.
Yeah, he's going soon. Definitely 100% going soon. So definitely wish him all the best and wish him well with his family and everything.
Yeah, no doubt.
He's
man,
definitely big part of the band.
And then
happy birthday, Mark.
And then George.
Happy birthday, Mark.
That was an ongoing joke. Every day was his birthday. But then George, our Portuguese brother, he who plays drums for Bundem Out at the time as well. He decided
and Life Betrays Us.
And Life Betrayed Us as well. Shouldn't forget that.
The creamy chorizo himself.
He actually said he was leaving the band to become a sardine fisherman, but I think he just wanted to carry on just being in his other bands.
No, but he moved to Belgium, so he ended up leaving the band, and then I think finding another guitarist. Dave mentioned Tom, bass player from 50 Caliber, and the funny thing is, I didn't realise that Tom played guitar. I thought Tom was solely a bass player. I think part of the reason for that was because, one, he had a 5-string bass, and usually people that don't play the bass don't play a 5-string, and two, because he's a very good bass player as well. So I naturally just thought he was a bass player. But Dave, why Tom?
When Fitzy left, I said to him before Fitzy was leaving, because he gave us a heads up, yo, Tom, you still up for doing it? And he was like, yeah. So as soon as he went, that's when I said to him, right, I'm going to say to everyone, you want it? Let's do it.
So Tom, man, was you a fan of Ironed Out beforehand, or how was that? How was that for you?
Yeah, man. I was ready, man. I was ready. Like I was going to say earlier, like I went to a few shows before and was like, this is like pretty different, and like I like different, really. Like some of my other bands have been like a mix between like electronic stuff and hip hop stuff, and so it's kind of like a good fit for me, really. Anyway, in general. So yeah, and I just said, yeah, I'm ready whenever. Like I was just waiting for Dave to say. Like,
I mean, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. I think when you come into the band, I thought like you just slotted in straight away, man. And like, definitely.
I couldn't tell the difference. Like,
that's not hard being a better guitarist than Mark, but no, I'm joking. I'm joking, Mark.
Yes, I love it. Cussing Mark, even though he's not here, man.
I couldn't tell the difference though. They literally just swapped out fucking one Irishman for another Irishman. Both had massive beards, like both had massive beards. So I was like, I don't know. difference here. Like,
You didn't even notice he was gone.
Yeah, I didn't even notice he was gone. Like.
Tom, you look a lot less like a fucking tramp than Mark does.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
But
man, I haven't cussed Fitzy for so long. This feels so good.
Revelation. No, but it was cool when Tom came into the band. Like, I mean, I didn't really know Tom too. I only knew him that he was playing bass in 50 Caliber and that he was John Chocochino's boy. Well, I just felt like, if he's already in a band with 50 Caliber, then it was obviously going to work because Dave knows him pretty well and he knows a lot of our people as well. And just felt like he's always been in the band. Like, it hasn't been any sort of like, it wasn't sort of like he's going to take him ages to be able to get used to it. And they just slot straight in, and it's been great ever since he's been in the band.
From London's very own Ironed Out comes the brand new full length available for pre-order now from www.gsrmusic.com. Featuring Pavement Strong and Ain't Raw, as well as a re-recorded version of ACAB, We Move As One is out on October the 16th on CD and limited edition crystal clear vinyl. Down for Life magazine calls it some of the most interesting and exciting music in hardcore right now. So visit www.gsrmusic.com to grab your copy now.
the drummer issue was harder. Jules left the band and we were struggling to find a drummer.
We reached out to Big Richard Woodin, Radio Collective, but he was like, on the condition that I'm just helping out because he had other things going on at the time live that obviously it's not for me to talk about, but he had commitments with family, etc. going on. It was kind of difficult for us because we wanted to push on as a band and put out another release. Or
Richard helped us out. He helped us out for quite a while though, didn't he?
Maybe definitely over 6 months, definitely over 6 months he helped us out, definitely. But then it just got to a point after we played Ready Fest, we went to play Ireland, and then that was Rich's last show with us, and then we played Scotland a month later, and that's when Joey Drake come and helped us out on drums. So yeah, massive shout out to Rich for helping out. But Joey filled in for a couple of shows of us. Joey's a good kid, man. If you've not listened to the Split Knuckle episode, you'd hear the story about how he was nearly late for the fucking flight. It was a good weekend. He was sleeping in the fucking bunk bed like he was in a coffin. But, yeah, he's a good kid, man. And Split Knuckle were fucking sick as well. So shout out to them.
Should we bring Louis in?
A couple of years ago, when you guys were just starting up, we played a show together, didn't we? I was in a 7-piece called Granville Sessions, which was a hip hop live band. So we had guitars, bass, samples, drums, 3 MCs. It was quite a big band, and we had brass.
Yeah,
as
brass as well. I thought they were fucking really cool.
Yeah, brasses, did ya? What were the names?
But yeah, we played a show at New Cross Inn, and that's how I sort of first met you guys. Lewis, I saw you play with Proven at 12 Bar, I think, and then going to show. So I sort of met you guys through that, and then did some time filling in for Life Betrays Us. Found myself without a band, and I think then you just hit me up, innit? It was it was kind of good timing for me. Actually, it was perfect fucking timing because you were like, yeah, do you want to jam with us? And then a couple of weeks later, it was like, yeah, do you want to go on tour with us?
Oh, shit, yeah.
Yeah, that was fuck.
Wow.
Was your first show with the tour, innit?
First gig was that Coney Island show.
I think maybe we can chat about the kind of dilemma we probably had around that time of the tour as well.
You know what? Yeah, because that is true. Because we was thinking about we was gonna reach out to Rich, I think, to see if he wanted to come and do the tour. But I don't think he wanted to. But I don't think he could do.
We was all stressing about what drummer we was gonna use for it, and then Life Betrays Us says, "Oh, we're looking for a new drummer," and then I just was like, "Hang on a sec," and I took a screenshot of it and put it in the group chat, and I was like, "Hey, my guy's not in a band, fuck it."
Yeah, innit?
It was like I've already hit him up.
I remember I spoke to Louis because I hit you up about Drive from Ironed Out originally, but then I mentioned about Life Betrays Us needing a drummer as well. Then I think Ammo hit you up about joining, and obviously that's when you joined Life Betrays Us on drums. So it could have been even earlier. You know what I'm saying? But obviously,
I don't remember that conversation. I remember like Life Atrocious were looking for a drummer, so I was talking to Ammo as well. But then I remember like you guys hanging out, and I was speaking to Steve as well. But you walked past, and I was like, I was trying to hint. I was like, I hear there's a drummer shortage, and you were like, yeah, and you just walked off. I would have been like, yeah. I'll like happily drum for you guys.
Mate,
but,
I was high as shit probably, man.
And also, you had Rich at the time, and you guys smashed that show. Like, I remember seeing you guys play that show, and I was like, yeah, they're like onto this. Like, something's gonna happen, like with these guys. But yeah,
that happened yet.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. It's work in progress.
So, like, we got offered the Rebellion tour, and then Louis, you was like, what was that like for you? Because imagine this, right? Your first tour with a band, being in a tour bus, and this tour bus was state of the art. Well, for me anyway. So,
yeah, I
was when you said you could do it, I was just like, I was really happy, but at the same time, I was like, oh shit, like we haven't really played with this guy, like. What's it? Is he going to be able to pull it off? And then I remember the first time playing with you, and after about half an hour, I said, "Yeah, this guy's dope, man."
I remember you said in practice, like you was going, everyone in the band that you've drummed, who's been the drummer, has been really good. But as a bass player and a drummer, you've got a kind of a connection. You've got like a vibe with each other. The way how you play, and you said that the way how Louis plays is complementary to how you are playing with bass.
Ebony and ivory. Do you know what it was? I think with George, George is a dope drummer, but he's very much
heavy hitter.
Yeah, he's a heavy hitter, and he comes from a metal background. Where I think where Louis had that experience being in a hip hop band. His groove, his style was slightly different. He had more. I don't want to say more groove. Like, you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. So, like, I think it's just more that I always listen out for the bass player and try and lock in my kicks with what's.
That's it. Yeah.
Obviously, like, with heavier stuff, the bass and the guitars are kind of doing a similar rhythm anyway. But with Ironed Out, you're definitely doing stuff over like the melodic bits that I always try and follow. So
I think it's like a breath of fresh air having someone when we had no drummer for so long, and having like people filling in and stuff, and then having someone who comes along and is like into the like musicality of stuff as well. It's like, it's a good
musicality.
Yeah. Let me just write that
down. To come in and like you say, that first gig was that show.
It was 10 shows in a row, right?
With me, seeing you lot like properly going on like 11 days away, 12 days away, and the first gig's like a 2,000 cap venue or something stupid.
Yeah.
And I absolutely shat myself. I was so nervous. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but before I play gigs, if I'm nervous, I can't speak.
Yeah, you're very quiet. I noticed that. Yeah, you don't say much. That's good. I like that when people don't say much. Shut the fuck up.
Do you know how I know you was nervous? Because after every gig, you'd be like, "Oh, was I okay? Did I play it too fast? I played that too fast, didn't I? No, did I play it too slow?" And you was always like trying to check with us to see if you was doing the right things. And to me, like, you was killing it. But you know what? If I was you, I would be the same. I never ever thought about this. Like, what it's like to go on a 2-week tour with guys I don't really know and play in the band with them.
Yeah, I don't know how I did it, man.
That must have been quite hard for you, man, to do that.
Yeah, I guess it helped, like the fact that we did quite a few practices before, but I sort of felt like quite at home with you lot. So I kind of knew that I was like, yeah, I'll probably be able to tour with these guys. But then bear in mind that actually I hadn't actually toured ever before. So my first ever tour was a sleeper bus tour as well.
Dave, how was that for you? Because you know what, we haven't spoke about how you got into MCing actually. How was that for you? Because I'm guessing this is the first time for you actually doing MCing live.
Yeah.
We can tell that you got a flow and you're comfortable in what you do, but this is the first time for you actually performing. What was it like for you?
The first shows I was fucking nowhere near comfortable. I think it took about 4 or 5 of our shows before I could face the crowd.
I remember that. I said, Dave,
Yeah, I
turn around.
remember that. Yeah.
I was looking on like for footage of ours for something or other the other day, and I found one of our. It was our second show, that the Fury of 5 one at 12 Bar and Fibbers, and I literally the whole show is just me facing you, man.
But no, that was good for me because I needed you to tell me whether I was
Do you know what, Dave? It's funny you say that because I remember Lou was like, why is it always me that has to like talk to the crowd and that? This is ages ago. And I
Yeah.
remember saying to Lou, yeah, but you've done this longer and you've got more like, do you know what I mean? Experience doing it. So you've got to take that lead.
I'd seen you, Gino, in fucking Crippler and Proven, and I was like, that Donny is a fucking thoroughbred fucking frontman. Like, that shit's natural to you. It's not to me. If I'm doing music, I can fucking stand in front of any number 1,000, but like fuck the bullshit between the fucking, you having a good night tonight.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's
Like, I mean, now and again, like, sometimes I'll come out with something, but every time I fucking come off the stage, I'm like, you dickhead.
Some people are introverted like that when it comes to fucking being on stage. Like, they can do it, but they're not going to be saying much to you in the crowd. Like, look at 9 Bar. Fatty does most of the talking. Skinny don't fucking say much. He says maybe 1 or 2 things. For me, just like I don't feel like I'm the best vocalist or anything. I just do what I've got to do. Like, but part of it is like, I grew up watching fucking game shows like fucking Bruce Forsyth and Des O'Connor and all these people and that, like, and seeing these mans how they fucking just work.
Hang on. Wait. Are you saying that Ironed Out are influenced by Bruce Forsyth?
No, I'm saying I'm influenced by Bruce Forsyth.
Barrymore.
Not Barrymore.
Frontman, yeah.
Barrymore. Actually, let's not get into Barrymore conversation. But what's it called? But just, people who can just work a crowd and just make you feel like you're at home.
My approach has always been like, I feel with like sometimes bands can be too serious.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's okay to crack a laugh. And you're good at that. You're really good at that, man.
Yeah, I like to have a laugh with
Yeah.
the crowd. You know what I mean?
Waymar, I thought you was literally just about to say, I'll tell you what my approach is to tell people to come down the front and then occasionally to tell them to do a circle.
That shit works for knuckle dust shows always now, man.
I do that because why not, man?
Does
Yeah.
work.
Man, just seeing a circle.
It's the most uncool thing to say, but I don't. Who cares about being cool?
If it ever happened, I mean, it might happen, it might not. Like, but imagine you got to play fucking downloads, whether it's the main stage, whether it's a side stage, or whatever stage you played download, and you fucking was like circle pit, and people started circle pitting. Would that be like?
Yeah.
Would you say when for yourself? You'd be like, yeah, I'm done, mate. I've made it.
Do you know what? Sometimes I'll be watching a band, right, and they'll be absolutely amazing, but the crowd won't be as receptive, and I'll be like, you know what? If the front man just said this or just said that, you could really set it off.
You gotta bring that fucking bring that vibe, like, and if you ain't got that vibe, you just crack some jokes. Look, Paul Bearer is one of the best at that as well. Like, I mean, you might not. Some people probably not even like that heavily into sheer terror, but if you're standing there and he's on stage and he's got his mic, he's gonna say a couple of things like funny, some shit a little bit offensive, but you're gonna come away having at least one laugh with that fucking dude. So
No doubt, man. But Dave, how do you feel you've developed then? Do you feel like a lot more confident now?
It's a learning curve for me, and it's part of the reason why I wanted to do vocals as well, and why I wanted to do it back then, because I'd proven myself on guitar, bass, drums in different bands, whatever it was, and I wanted to challenge myself by getting at the front of the stage.
Everyone but us. Straight from the heart of London.
So let's move to the present day, man. We're about to drop our first album. Louis, do you want to talk about it? Louis got the studio hookup.
So I was trying to find like a London-based studio because obviously, like, we've got work going on and commitments and stuff. So I knew it was important that we, I guess, found a studio that we could get to quite easily. And I found this place called Bookhouse Studios in South Bermondsey. Guy called Tom Hill, who'd done some production. He'd done like some metal stuff before.
Employed to Serve, yeah.
So Octavian and shit, he'd worked in Link Up TV for a while.
So his CV seemed fairly decent and like seemed really good, and his skills were good as well. So presented it to the rest of the guys, and I think you lot obviously were receptive to it, and then we decided to book that studio. So that Bookhouse Studios in South Bermondsey.
It's fucking South Bermondsey near fucking Millwall scum area.
Right opposite, isn't it?
Oh, fucking horrible. Having to go.
That's funny, Joe.
Oh,
When we were recording one day, man, I remember fucking standing outside, just getting a breath of fresh air, and then suddenly I just heard, yeah. I was like, what the fuck? And it was Millwall. They'd just gone ahead against Charlton. I didn't realise it was that close.
You've literally got to walk around the ground to get to the studio.
Moving back to the album, so Dave wrote a bunch of songs. Steve contributed. Tom contributed a song. I contributed a song, and I feel like we had a few up and downs getting to the end of it. A few disagreements. A few falling out, like true friends. I'm glad that we got through that and put it behind us, and I'm really happy with it. I mean, we dropped a video, Pavement Strong. If you haven't heard that, go and check it out. It's on our YouTube channel. A lot of people seem to like that song. Like, how have you guys gauged the reception?
It was initial reception was a lot better than when we first dropped our first video, Indies Ends. But compared to this one, and how it was set and where it was, and just a quick story, you managed to get a fucking drum kit down to the Woolwich fucking into the tunnel, like underneath the fucking River Thames, mate.
Let's talk about that.
Who's doing that, mate? It's fucking real shit.
How
like
did we
that.
not get shut down for that?
Just gonna paint a picture for the listeners. There's a tunnel that goes from North Woolwich to South Woolwich, a foot tunnel, and that's where we recorded the video. So we took this whole drum kit down there. And you could imagine this tunnel, which is a quarter of a mile long, maybe. So when Lou started hitting this drum, it sounded like a bomb went off, didn't it?
Oh yeah, I remember I was at the top with Dave. Dave was like going out smoking a cigarette and that, and all you could just hear was bang, 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 bang. And I was like, we was looking at each other like, fuck's going, fucking that is loud, isn't it? Like, yeah, man. But no one turned up from Old Bill. No one fucking from the council turned up. Everything was fucking fine. All it was, we just had loads of people from cycling clubs just coming through, fucking going about their business in their cycling shit. And then obviously you had couples and people on their way to work, and you had kids walking past. And everyone was just like, what the fuck's going on like that? What's going on? Like, how did they manage to do this? But it was a good spot, man. I was the one who found the spot because I live local to the area, and I just thought, we done some promo shoots around there. I think a few months earlier with Louis and his partner Rachel. So massive shout out to her and thank you for doing those promo shots for us. And we just thought, we was looking for someone to record this video, but we just didn't have an idea where we wanted to go and do it. So I was like, let me go and have a look around that bit of Woolwich again. Long story short, I went to go check out the location, and then we obviously set a date with the video guy, Chris at Long Chalk Media. We just did what we had to do. And then obviously after that, we went to a spot by Rotherhithe, and we met up with a few of our good friends and it was weird. Like, I mean, I'm not going to speak for all you guys, but we hadn't seen each other for fucking months, innit? Like, let's be real, since February or something, when there was the last show. And then obviously the lockdown happened and the video was in July. So it was kind of like a reunion of fucking friends who'd not seen each other for time. You just done Zoom meeting calls or chatting online and fucking Messenger and shit. And I thought the video came out fucking really well. And big up Chris at Long Chalk.
Yeah, Chris fucking, he pulled it out the bag. Anyone who wants to do a video, give him a shout, Long Chalk Media, because he's fucking banging.
Yeah, he's a good dude, man.
Definitely. He's done our next one as well, and at short notice as well. So he's kind of saved us there as well.
Yeah, so before I talk about that, I'm going to talk about, we just dropped another track called Ain't Raw, and the album, as I said, drops on the 16th, and the reviews that we've had for it so far have all been positive. And I don't know, what's your guys' feeling? I mean, for me, with music, I always said, the main thing is that you enjoy it, and obviously you want people to like it, but we're not here because we want to be some big rock stars or everyone, we doing this because we just enjoy doing it.
People to appreciate it, otherwise you wouldn't play shows, full stop.
Yeah.
And I think Pavement Strong for me was definitely one of the when I wrote them bars, I was actually homeless. Me, my kid's mum, and the baby. We was walking about all day. That's where I got the Pavement Strong line from. And I thought, if I can get this feeling into the bars, into a tune, and people can, you know, see it for real, it will strike a chord, you know, because anything that's real art-wise, people will always get, you know. If you're genuine with what you're saying, it will always hit home. Like usually, like in these ends, bruv, the video comments for that we got was and you know, I'm sure in the future there's going to be some on Pavement Strong, but nah, there was none of that. You know, I knew that come real. I knew that people felt that, and that for me was a huge win. That on its own.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, Dave, because there's a YouTube. I can't remember the name of the channel, but they review albums, and they reviewed our album. And one of the things they said was that they was expecting the lyrics to be about gangster shit, and when they read the lyrics, they were like shocked and like happily surprised. You know what I mean? There was some deep stuff on there. Do you know what I mean?
My vocal show, I always try to keep my shit in like what's happening to me personally, or what's happening around, or what's been going on. Like, you're always trying to keep things factual. Obviously, I've got another band that I'm in, Last Orders, where it's just a bit more of a jokey, laughy band, but I still try and do stuff which is sort of like relevant and in the now, you know what I'm saying? Like, but when you start hearing people saying about, yeah, I'm going to take the fucking shotgun and shoot you in the face and shit like that, and it's like, you know what some band, you know, there are some vocalists who are about that fucking life and have seen that fucking shit. And then there's other people who are saying that sort of type of stuff, and you've seen them and you know where they're from, and you know that their family are fucking middle class Tory fucking supporters, and it's like, bruv, you ain't got shotguns, you ain't got fucking this. Like, there's no harm in just talking about growing up in a fucking boring lifestyle or boring shit. There's no harm in that. Like, you can do that.
I've got one final question before we go. I'm going to start with Steve. Why is your head so big? No, seriously. What's your favourite song of the album?
I really like, I don't know, Pagans, maybe.
Pagans, okay. Tom, what's your favourite song of the album, mate?
Probably Pagans sticks out for me as well.
Louis, what's your favourite song?
I'd agree with that. I'd say it's Pagans. I think Pavement Strong is like the best example of like the styles that the band has in one song, and then Pagans kind of just brings it. I don't know. Yeah, I think Pagans.
I think to me it's Pagans, just because it's a style that we've not touched yet. Because this tune ain't like groovy or bouncy or whatever. It's kind of just starts dark and slow.
You like it dark and slow? Oh, yeah.
What you saying? That sounded like you were saying, who likes it dark and slow? Because I'm dark and slow.
No comment. I said enough.
What about you, Dave?
A Pavement Song, definitely. That'll probably be like fucking 20 years from now. I'll remember that, and I'll just be like, that fucking absolutely coined that fucking time in my life. But yeah, Pagans is definitely going to be one of the ones that I'm fucking just so want to play. You know, I every time I listen to it, I just imagine the crowd kicking off to it.
I know we've only got one track, but I do like the song that Tom wrote, Our Struggles Don't Matter. Run, because of the music, I think it's really good. It's a mix of, it's the ironed out sound. It's different as well. And it's just really, really put together, like the whole tune, man. It's like so many layers to it. And the lyrics as well are really good. And it makes a lot of sense for the times that we're living in at the moment as well. So
my only problem with that song is we should have renamed it Tom's Song Doesn't Matter. I think that
Whoever's opinion doesn't matter.
Our Struggles Don't Matter is definitely a continuation of Pavement Strong vocally, because there was a lot of bars that I wrote for it. I literally just opened like a note thing on the iPhone. I was just writing, and then it didn't make it onto that tune, ended up on Our Struggles Don't Matter.
think there's two different sides of Ironed Out. So if I'm talking about one side, the more aggressive side, I would say Pagans. If I'm saying the more musical side, We Move as One. But yeah, that's it, man. But anyway, check the album out.
We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, Spotify is where our music's at. We've got our YouTube channel, and we've got another video coming out very soon. It's called Pagans.
It's one of the tunes we haven't mentioned yet.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, man. Well, anything you guys want to say before we go?
Massive thanks to Theo for putting it out of us and believing us and giving us this opportunity to put it out. And of course, it's coming out on crystal clear vinyl, limited edition, and is also available on CD. And of course, it will be available to stream and download at the various download sites, Spotify, Apple Music, etc., etc. And also want to just say a massive thank you to Pierre and Poppy for putting out our previous release at Ruction Records, man. Like, because we had a little bit of an issue trying to get that out initially, but they stepped in and helped us. And sort of like, obviously we were already established, by just that little push from them as well obviously helped us a bit more. And obviously we wish them all the best in the future and hope. And they got some big things on the horizon. They got Street Soldier and that coming out very soon. So big respect to Ruction Records as always, like, because it's a family thing. And it's just like, this is going to be my last speak, but it's just a massive shame that at the moment, because we were in the situation that we're in worldwide, we can't play any shows and we can't actually showcase the new tunes that we've got. Like, so I hope that people who, when they're listening to these tunes, they'll be like, oh mate, I can't wait to actually hear these tunes live, because we will play these live again one day. Like, I don't know when it's going to be. It could be like January, it could be February, it could be in 6 months, could be in another year's time. I don't know, but I definitely know that at some point we will be able to play these tunes. And maybe in that other meantime, we'll be able to put some other tunes in that together and obviously meet up when it's safe and proper and to do so. Anyway, good night, ladies and gents, and check out Ironed Out. We Move as One coming out soon on GSR.
That's it, man. But yeah, we've been Ironed Out, and thank you for listening.
You're listening to the Everyone But Us podcast, straight from the heart of London.